Welcome back to my channel, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I want to welcome all my new subscribers. I am so happy. I love when I get my little notes that I got new subscribers. So thank you so much for joining me. Okay, today I wanted to talk a little bit about, okay, so here's the backstory. I was watching a video about multi-ethnic children raised by white mothers and how some of them feel like they have internalized racism, which led me to think about something else. I was thinking, you know what, that's interesting. I know that that exists. I know that that's an issue, and I really haven't talked about it. I'm not a white mother, so I don't know that I ever will talk about it or give my opinion, but what it led me to think about is divested women who are really triggered by Black men raising children, sometimes Black sons. How are they navigating the waters of feeling the way they feel negatively about Black men in general with their Black sons? Are they raising them with internal issues? Are they able to get past their feelings about Black men to raise their sons? So I want to talk a little bit about this today. Subscribe to the channel, and let's talk about, I don't know, are we doing a better job raising Black men as women outside of the Black community? All right, subscribe. Okay, guys. Yeah, so you guys know I'm a boy mom. That's what I do. I raise boys, men. That's my apparent job in this life. Maybe, you know, the universe knew, you know what, she might do a good job with boys. So they, you know, they blessed me with some really great boys. Now, I have raised a boy to a man. I did a video with him about a week ago. I think that was the last one I posted. So, like I said, if you've watched my videos, I'm not a divester because I don't feel that I was ever really truly invested in whatever is like the expectations of Black women in the Black community. So I do not consider myself a divester. I did not have to leave something that I never really invested in. Do you know what I mean? But I have raised Black boys. I've dated Black men. I actually do not hate or have a problem with Black men, all right? Despite some of the commentary that I've gotten on some of my videos. Now, that being said, I also do not subscribe to a lot of the expectations and rhetoric that are involved with ideologies in the Black community about raising our Black men. But I don't hate them. You will never hear me say that all men are any certain way or one group of men is better than another group of men based on their race identity or ethnicity. Like that's, I think that there are terrible people, period. I think that the majority of men in general are probably terrible. But you can find some nice, better, you know, types of dudes out there in the world. Obviously, I think so. So I have gotten into conversations with divested Black women who are very triggered by Black men, and they're like, we should tell all our girls to stay away from Black men. Period, point blank, no discussion, right? And I can see why some people feel that way. However, like I've said in many instances, I don't believe in being male focused, right? So to me, even that is too male focused. Even that is like, no, girl, live your truth, live your, you know, life, and love yourself. And whatever you do for yourself, make sure that that's the priority. And ethnicity has nothing to do with that, of a man or whatever, you know. For me, those are the type of people who sometimes still need to deal with their own personal struggles in order to find real balance in life. You know, like that's just my opinion. Because I feel as though when we are so focused on what to do or not to do, and it's based on simply like male BS, we are doing ourselves a disservice. We're not living in our full happy truth, right? I just can't focus on dudes like that. When we start looking at why some men say they have issues, right? They always try to connect it back to the mom. Mommy issues, constantly men have tons of mommy issues. Now, at least that's their self-described thing. You know, they had toxic moms, they had this kind of mom, they have that kind of mom. Now, if you're divested and you really, truly hate black men and you're a black woman, if you have a son, he's got part of you in him, right? So I know a lot of people are like, you know, you're gonna take race out of it. I've had a lot of divested women tell me, you know what, I'm a woman first, and then I'm all these other things, and my blackness doesn't matter. And I get it. I'm a woman first. I really feel that way. But I'm a black woman. And that being said, whether I want to acknowledge my perceived race in the world is beyond me. Because I'm in this world and people do filter me on site through my skin color. It's just the way this world works. Like, as much as we want to pretend it doesn't, it's the way this world works, right? Like, we can't pretend it doesn't exist. I just can't. Like, I feel like that's delusional. For me, that's delusional. For myself. Anybody else, like, you do what you want to do. But for me, that seems delusional because I know that there are microaggressions. There are things that people say and think simply because not only am I a black woman, I'm the skin color I am, there's featurism, there's all kinds of things that you experience differently in this world. And I'm not going to say that it doesn't exist because I don't want to focus on it. I just don't focus on it, but I know it exists. That being said, when you have a son, regardless of the ethnicity of his father, he is going to have some blackness in him. He might not have the phenotype, the look, whatever, but there's going to be, you know, something in him that is different than just that other ethnicity. And you guys don't hear me say biracial a lot on my channel because I don't really adopt to the race identity that people say. You know, like whatever that is, you know, and I think that's part of my lack of investment in the whole like community associated with what I'm supposed to do as a black woman, right? But I just think it's a concept that's absurd. We're all one race, right? We're all humans. And then we're broke out into ethnicity. And I do not subscribe or support white supremacy. So I also do not subscribe to their definitions of race. So that being said, I know that as a mom of boys, of black boys, that their experience in this world is going to be a certain way because of their skin complexion, because of their skin color, because of their hair texture, because of what they look like. I can't pretend that doesn't exist. And when I'm wondering, you know, women who feel this way about, you know, black men, are they giving that same feeling that those multi-ethnic children felt from their racist white families? Are we going to give them that internalized hate of themselves by our own, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like by their hate of general black men in general, are they going to give that to their sons? How are their sons going to filter their parents' or mother's problem with black men for themselves? And are they thinking about how they're going to address that once you find you're pregnant with a son and you hate black men and he could come out looking very much like, well, you, you never know with multi-ethnic children, like what that mix is going to look like, right? So there are lots of Black boys with white fathers that look, I feel like my children look more Black than white, right? They have, their little curly, their hair is more like my hair than their dad's. So I think that when we are raising our boys, our children, we are putting so much of ourselves in them. And I know that as Black women, we have been doing a lot of work for ourselves to get past toxicity, past like self, doubt. We have been evolving as a group of women, right? We really have. And we have to take that evolution to our children. I think that, raising my son, especially in the United States, I was hyper aware of the potential of what could happen to him in the world. So we can't say to our Black sons that your Blackness doesn't matter, because the world is always going to let them know. We can't do that because we're doing them a disservice in this world. As much as we want the world to change, the world is what it is. Like, I just remember my oldest wanting cornrows when I think it was like 10, maybe somewhere around this age. And I was like, I don't have a problem with cornrows, but I immediately was like, no, you will not fit the description. That's what we hear a lot of times in these mistaken identity issues with the police and other things that happen to our Black boys, right? Like, he fit the description. He had cornrows, he was tall, he was this, he was that. They don't investigate, right? They shoot first and ask questions later. So I was like, that won't be the reason. You will not fit the description. So these kind of things that as a mom you filter yourself through, and I never said that to him. I never said to him, oh, you're not gonna look ghetto, you're not gonna do this, you're not gonna do that. I was just like, no, I don't think that's a good idea. Let's find another hairstyle that you might like. We went with dreadlocks, right? Because there weren't, at the time, a lot of young boys with dreadlocks. So that to me was a compromise, right? But I did not give him the idea that it was hateful, bad, or a general problem because of it's not even my perception of what it is. It was what my knowledge of the world's perception of what that could be and what that could do to him. That's simple, right? And I think that when we start communicating how we communicate, what we communicate to our children is important. So when I hear these Black women say, I'm going to tell my daughters, my Black daughters, to stay away from all Black men because you don't want to take the risk, I know they're talking also about my sons. And I think that my sons are an exception. Well, 2 of them aren't men yet, but I think my oldest, I think he's an exception. So what we end up finding is that these Black women are not, even going to register someone who is my son because they've filtered them through this ideology that one type of person always exists. And I mean, he's not perfect. There are some things, if somebody said, I wanted to get married and have kids and do these things, I'm like, well, he's probably not for you. But if you want to travel and go you like snowboarding and, do other kinds of things, yeah, that might be someone you want to talk to and be treated well. I think he treats his girlfriends very well. So that's what I think. I think that we have the opportunity to raise better men, and that's going to start with our attitude towards the men we raise. Because if we're going to give them our neuroses and our internalized issues, then we're not really healed and ready to raise children in general, my opinion. So I think for me, and I've talked about this, when I had my child, the first thing I had to do was address me. I didn't address my stuff, right? And my stuff wasn't really around, I guess, men per se, but you know, whatever it was, I had to do some shadow work. I had to go back and really figure out, you know, how I could do better and not pass my neuroses and my issues on to my son. And what I had to do is not blame the outside source, but look for the healing within myself and solve my stuff. I don't know, I just think about that, you know, maybe because I'm boy mom, and I think that we all have the opportunity, you know, especially these younger women who are going to be having children, who are divested, who are going to be looking at making their own community. How are we going to raise better Black men? That's the question we need to ask ourselves when we find ourselves pregnant with these new generation of boys. We don't want to pass on our BS, whatever it is, to our kids. And I mean, that's me. I don't want to pass my BS on. I think I did a good job as much as I could with my oldest, and I continue to try and practice that with these 2.0 little ones that I'm currently preparing to rule the world. So y'all, I don't know, I want to hear, I guess, maybe from some, I hope I didn't trigger anybody, some of the women who are divested, and what you are thinking about when you are potentially raising a new generation of Black men. Have you started to think about what that looks like and how you're going to address your feelings towards Black men when you're rearing these new boys? Because, you know, the world is the world, and we just got to be realistic, y'all. I can't talk to people who are not realistic. I don't like disingenuous conversations, but I'm so happy that I do not have those kind of people on my channel. Well, not subscribed anyway. So subscribe to my channel. Let's talk in the comments, and ciao for now.